There are moments in life when words pierce deeper than swords. They enter not only the mind but echo through the very chambers of the soul. Some verses of the Quran descend upon the heart like gentle rain, softening and nurturing, while others strike like thunder, shaking the very ground beneath us. Verses 23 and 24 of Surah Al-Baqarah belong to that thunderous category. These are not verses to be skimmed and passed over. They are verses that confront. They are verses that challenge. They are verses that awaken the sleeper, unsettle the doubter, and invite the seeker into a confrontation with their own soul. And when seen through the lens of the Sufi tradition, the tradition of inner unveiling, of hidden meanings, of tasting rather than only knowing, these verses become living flames that burn away illusion and reveal truth. Today, let us embark on this journey together, verse by verse, word by word, breath by breath, not only with the intellect, but with the heart, with the inner ear, with that secret place inside you that already knows the truth, but waits to be reminded. Verse 23. And if you are in doubt concerning what we have sent down upon our servant, Muhammad, peace be upon him, then produce a surah like it and call your witnesses besides Allah, if you are truthful. At first sight, this verse reads as a challenge. To the opponents of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to those who doubted the Quran, God presents a clear dare. If you think this is human speech, then bring something like it. But the Sufi gaze looks beyond the surface, not to deny the outer meaning, but to uncover its layers. Here, doubt is not confined to 7th century skeptics. Doubt is a condition of the human heart, a fog that visits every soul. It is that whisper of uncertainty. Is this path real? Is my connection with God genuine? Can I really trust the unseen? The Sufi understands that every seeker walks through valleys of doubt, and this verse does not condemn the seeker for doubt. Rather, it transforms doubt into a doorway. Doubt becomes the spark that ignites the quest for certainty. God says, if you are in doubt, then what? Then look at what has been sent down. Not just to Muhammad, peace be upon him, as the prophet, but to Muhammad as the servant. Abd. Why this title here? Because the Quran flows not through pride, but through servanthood. The secret of revelation is humility. When the ego steps aside, the divine steps in. So in this verse, there is a hidden teaching for every seeker. Revelation only descends upon the servant, never upon the arrogant self. The heart must bow before it can receive. Now the challenge comes. Produce a surah like it. Outwardly, this was to silence the opponents. But inwardly, the challenge goes further. Can the human ego ever produce divine light by itself? Can the restless mind create tranquility that lasts forever? Can worldly philosophies give the taste of eternity? The answer is written between the lines, no. Try as you may, the soul knows that what descends from the infinite cannot be manufactured by the finite. The verse then says, call your witnesses besides Allah if you are truthful. The Sufi sees here a piercing insight. When the heart resists God, it begins to call upon other witnesses. The witness of logic alone, the witness of material success, the witness of pride, the witness of worldly teachers. Yet all these witnesses falter before the truth. None of them can testify to eternity. Only God is the true witness. Thus, this verse invites us into surrender. Trust the voice of the one who knows, not the noise of the ego that doubts. Verse 24. But if you do not, and you will never be able to, then fear the fire, whose fuel is men and stones, prepared for the disbelievers. Here the tone shifts. The gentle if becomes an absolute certainty. You will never be able to. Why? Because the human self cannot create what only the divine bestows. Revelation is not invention. It is gift. The verse then points to the consequence. Fear the fire. The common ear hears only warning of hell in the hereafter, but the Sufi ear hears more. The fire is not only tomorrow, it is today. It is not only outside, it is inside. The fire begins here, in this world, in the burning of the soul that resists its own truth. Every time we deny the descent of light, Every time we harden our hearts, every time we close the window to the divine breeze, a fire ignites within us. It is the fire of restlessness, the fire of anxiety, the fire of endless craving, the fire of never being satisfied, no matter how much we gather. Notice the imagery, whose fuel is men and stones. Men, living beings who let themselves become consumed by desires, angers, and egos until they burn. Stones, symbols of hardness, lifelessness, hearts that have turned rigid and unyielding. Together they feed the fire of separation, but here lies a hidden mercy. Why does God warn us of this fire? Not to frighten us into despair, but to awaken us into transformation. The fire is not an arbitrary punishment, it is the natural consequence of separation from God. Just as cutting oneself off from water brings thirst, cutting oneself off from the beloved brings fire, and the cure, softening, opening, returning, allowing the heart to melt in remembrance, in surrender, in love. For the same fire that burns with separation can be cooled by nearness, as the Quran says of Abraham. O fire, be coolness and safety upon him. Thus, verse 24 is both a warning and a promise. A warning that hardness leads to burning, a promise that surrender leads to coolness. The flow between the two verses. Together, verses 23 and 24 create a rhythm. First, a challenge to doubt, then an unveiling of consequence. It is as if God says, if you are uncertain, then look at my word. If you think it is man-made, try to match it. You cannot. And if you persist in denial, then know that your very denial will become a fire inside you. But the beauty of the Quran is that even its warnings are soaked in love. For the verse is not simply telling us of failure, it is guiding us to success. By declaring that no one can imitate divine revelation, it pushes the seeker to humility. By warning of fire, it points us toward coolness. By describing the hardness of stones, it awakens the longing for softness of the heart. The Sufi thus reads these verses not as threats, but as invitations. Invitations to trust, to surrender, to allow revelation to descend into the heart like rain upon fertile soil. Living these verses. Dear listener, pause for a moment and ask yourself, where do I feel doubt within me? Where am I trying to manufacture my own light instead of receiving God's? Where is my heart hardened like stone? And where is the fire already burning inside me? Through restlessness, anxiety, or thirst? These verses are not meant only for intellectual debate. They are meant to be lived. The Quran speaks not only to the mind, but to the body, to the soul, to the sensations within you. If you listen deeply, you may feel a stirring in your chest, a quivering in your veins, a softening of your eyes. That is the Quran working inside you. That is revelation touching you. Final reflections. My beloved listener, let these verses not pass by as mere recitation. Let them enter you. Let them challenge you. Let them soften you. When you feel doubt, remember, revelation is not manufactured, it is received. When you feel hardness, remember, the fire feeds on stones, but the garden blossoms from soft soil. When you feel restless, remember, the fire of separation can be cooled by the nearness of remembrance. So open yourself, surrender. Let these words not only echo in your ears, but settle in your heart. And if you found resonance here, if something within you awakened even slightly, then share this awakening. Carry it forward. Spread the light. Remind another heart that doubts can be doorways, that fire can become coolness, that hardness can soften, and that the beloved waits behind every verse whispering, come to me, trust me, let me descend into you. This is the invitation. This is the challenge. This is the mercy hidden within the fire.